Hi guys, today I will share with you some basics of Git. Git is a version control system that is quite useful for small as well as large projects where multiple people are working on a same project. This makes our work quite good because it does not we do not face any kind of issues where one person might overwrite contents of other person's work. So Git helps us a lot in this kind of situation. I will go ahead and demonstrate a few commands of Git. To begin with, if you're on a Windows operating system, you will install Git Bash in your system. Git Bash you can download from this link. Once you have Git Bash installed, you will get CLI for Git Bash, which will have a Unix kind of layout where you can also run all your Linux commands and stuff like that. So this terminal is quite useful for running Git commands. So we will start with our basic commands right now. So just for demonstration purpose, I'll just create an empty folder. So Git actually works in a way that it creates a log of all your previous work. So whatever work we do, whenever we commit our work to Git, it actually starts making log of our work, so that in case if we make some mistake or something like that, or we need to see what was the work done in the past, we can look at that work as well. So to begin with, we will need to create a Git repository. Git repository we can create by running a command git init. So I'll just go ahead and I will try to create the repository here. So one way is we can just right click wherever you want to create a Git repository and you click Git Bash here. If you don't have this in your context menu installed, you can just open your Git Bash and we can go to that particular folder. So you just copy the path and you will just go to that path. Once we are in this location, we will create a Git repository. We can create a Git repository by running command git init, and then we can create the repository name. So let's say my repository name is myrepo. I will name it myrepo.git. There is a flag called bear. I would always recommend to add this flag. The reason for this is when we create a repository with bear flag, it does not allow us to commit or remove any changes within this bear repository, because this is created as a central hub, and all the people who want to work on this project will actually be taking copy of this central hub, and then they will be committing changes to within that copy and then pushing to this central hub. So every person will actually be cloning data from this folder, and then they will actually be pushing the changes from that particular folder. This way this central hub acts as a central repository, and it does not have any issues of code overrides or somebody deleting our files or anything like that. So I'll go ahead with this command. So it says it has initialized a Git repository in this location. So if I open this folder, you will see that it only created all the Git objects, and it did not create an empty folder for me, but it actually created all the Git related folders. So once my repository is created, so I will assume that we have two users working on a same project. So just to demonstrate, I will open another terminal and I'll just go to the same folder. Now let's say this is user 1 and this is user 2. So user 1 will actually take a copy of this repository. We will take a copy by running the command git clone, and where we want to copy from, so we will put our repository name and then what should be the repository on the local computer of that user. So let's say I will say user1 underscore repo. So it actually, what it does is actually basically clones this repository and then creates a folder for us, whatever folder we specify. So right now it is empty because when we first time initialized our repository, we didn't have any files to commit. So that's why our new repository is empty. You will see that there is a hidden folder called .git. This folder actually is very important. This is what tells us that our user one repository, where is it connected and what are the previous commits performed on our repository. So user one has cloned this repository. Now let's try to do the same for user two as well. So we'll run git clone and we will clone from my repo. So you will see that both users are actually cloning from the same path. So we are cloning from the central path, and I will call it user2 underscore repo. So both users have actually created user1 user2 repo, and now let's try to work on next command. So right now so far we have done two commands, git init, git clone. Now we will go to start working on our project. So let's say this is a project where we have text files, so we will start with user1. So let's say user1 creates a text file. Let's say data.txt. In this file he writes hello world. Once he saves the file, we'll go back and we will see I'll go back to my user1 underscore repo and I will see git status. So this is the command which actually tells us what is the status of our current folder, if we have made any changes to our repository, and if there are any files we need to commit. Another thing to notice is that by default Git creates a master branch for us. So branch is a concept which I will explain in my coming videos as well. So branching is a very useful concept. So let's say we have multiple type of servers. One is for staging, one is for production. So we can actually have multiple branches of our code base. One code base we could keep for our staging branch, and one code base we could keep for our master branch. So this way that we will have the same folder, but we will actually have two copies of our project. So one will be for production, one will be for staging branch. So let's go back to our topic. So if we have actually created this file in data.txt. When I ran the git status command, it told us right now we are on our branch master and we did not perform any commits yet, and we have one untracked file. Untracked files are those files which we create in our project, but they don't have any kind of history within the Git repository. So to add them to Git repository, we will have to run this command as it is showing here, git add and then the file name. So we will actually type git add, and then you can either put the file name like this, or if you have created multiple files and you want to commit them all of the files, you will just put dot here. So dot means anything which is added in this folder, we just need to add it. So once we add this command git add, we will check the status again. Now it says changes to be committed. So we have actually, when we run git add, it actually stages the file for commit. So it's like one step before commit. Git still gives us a chance, like, are you sure you want to commit this? If you're not clear about this, if you're not comfortable with this change, you can still remove your change. So you can run actually this command. This will actually unstage our file. Running git rm and cached means it will remove the file if it is already committed in the past as well. So let's just go ahead and let's commit our file now. So the first command is git add and the file name, and the second command is git commit -m. -m means message, and we will write our message, my initial commit. So this is the message which actually is visible in our Git logs. So this should be a useful message so that the other developers could from the log they could understand what change was made in this commit. So once I make this change, the third command is git pull. Git pull is the one which tells us that if there are any changes made in our central repository by any other user, we need to make sure that we pull those changes before pushing our changes, so that if there are any conflicts happening, like if the same file other user created as well, it will give us a warning or something like that. So that's why we need to make sure that we are pulling the latest changes before pushing our changes. So we will run the command git pull. So we actually are on the latest repository. We don't have anything to pull right now. That's why we actually got this message. Let's try to push our change. So git push. Right now, when we initially created this cloned this repository, there was actually no reference from remote, like what branch should be created or what should be the files inside. Since there was an empty bare repository, there was nothing inside. That's why we didn't have anything to pull from the central repository. Once we ran this git push command, it made sure whatever this master branch we are on, it is also created on the central repository as well, so that the next user, if he tries to run the git pull command, he should get the copy of that master branch. So let's try to see the status now. Git status. So right now it says we are on branch master. Our branch is connected with the origin master. Origin master is the one which we just created by running git push now. So origin means our origin server. So in this case it is like wherever this my repo is hosted. Right now it's in the same computer, but it could be in different server. And master means the master branch is created on the origin server. So basically this in the my repo.git, it created this master branch. So since this is done, now let's try to see did we get this file in our user repo too? No. So we didn't get it yet because we didn't run the git pull command on the user repo too. So we will go to our user repo too, and we will try to pull it, and let's see if we get anything. So let's go back to our user repo too, and then first we will say git status. We don't have anything in our folder, so it says no commits yet, nothing to commit. We have all this fresh data. I'll just try to pull. So it actually pulled the data from the origin master, which was actually created during our first push. So on our local, it created this master branch, and it pulled all the changes which came from the first commit. So let's go back. Let's see. Yeah, so we got this file here now. So this is the basic concept of Git. So basically we whatever we learned so far is we will have created an initial bare repository which will act as a central repository, and then every other person will actually be cloning that repository and making the changes to the code within their repositories. So this is the command to clone the repository, git clone, and then where you want to clone from and where you want to clone to. This is the command, and then what we learned was git status is the command which tells us what is the current status in our working directory, and git add is the one which tells us okay, we want to stage our files. This is the command for that. And then once you're comfortable with your staged files, you can run git commit, and you can write a commit message here. And git pull is the command which we use to pull all the latest pushes if any done by any other user. And git push is if we want to push our changes to the live server. In this case we want to push our changes to the myrepo.git. And this is the basic concept of Git. Another thing I would like to share is how do we see which logs and how do we see the log of our commits. So I'll just clear this screen, and the command is called git log. So git log actually tells us how many commits are done in the past for this on this repository, and which user actually made these commits. So if you see that you will be seeing this username, whoever is committing these changes. So we can actually once you install your Git Bash, you can initially perform all your Git configurations. You can set your username, current username and email, and you can do so by running these commands. So let's say if you want to change your username, you will actually be writing the command git config global and then user.name, and then in the double quotes you will put your username. And if you want to set your email as well, you will type git config global user.email and then you will put your email. So this is how you will be initially configuring all your, so that any person who is pulling your data, he should be able to see which person actually committed this change and what was the title of that commit. So based on this commit, we will see, okay, this is what we done. Another thing you can do is you can pass a flag to Git log. It's called stat. If you pass this flag, it will also tell you how many files were changed during that commit. So it's telling us one file was changed and the file name was data.txt. Another thing you can do is you can actually see the code inside the commit as well. So you can type git diff and you can type this command. What this command does is, if we are in the current directory and if we are making a change to our file, if we run this command, it will actually tell us how many changes we have made so far from this commit. So let's say if I am in my user1 repo, if I make some change to my file, instead of hello world I make it hello world 2, and then I run this command. First let's see what Git status says. Git status says we have actually modified this file, but we have not staged this file for commit yet. So if I go back to Git log, you will see that this is my only commit, and if I try to find the difference from my current working file with the past logs, I can type git diff this, and once you put the hash of that commit, you will see that initially it was hello world, but we made it to hello world 2. So this is what the change we made. So this is quite useful as well. It will tell us what was it before and what we made it now. So this is a bit handy command as well. Let's go back to our topic. Another thing I would like to share is Git conflicts. The conflicts are very common. Like it can happen in large projects where there are a number of people working on the same project, and there could be a possibility that on the same file 2 people are working at the same time. So just we will take this same example here. In my this file, let's say I was working, user1 was working, user1 made this change, and he actually, instead of hello world, he moved it into a second line, and first line he said user1 change. So this is just for demonstration purpose. So user1 has actually made these changes, and if I quickly go back to user2 and if I look at his code, he is currently on hello world, but he is also making changes. So instead of hello world, he is making hello world, and he's making this change as user2 change, and then bye. Now this is just for demonstration purpose. I'm telling, like whenever 2 users work on the same line, they make some change. If the first, like this hello world was on line 1 and this hello world was on line 1 as well, so the first user who commits that change, he will not get any conflict because he is the first one to make this change and quickly push it to the server. but when the second user will try to add and commit this change and push it, he will actually get an error, because this line was changed by first user and he is changing as well. So he needs to then decide which code to keep, which text to keep and which not. So let's try to make this work. So now that we have made changes to our files for both users, I'll close these files and I will run git status here. So I'll stage this file and then I'll commit. I'll just add some dummy text and then I will write git pull. Since nobody has pushed anything, so it's saying already up to date, and then git push. So now user 1 has successfully pushed this file without any issues, but let's see what happens when user 2 tries to push this file. So let's first see git status. So user 2 has also modified this file, and user 2 will stage this file, and user 2 will actually commit this file. And when the user 2 tries to pull this change, he will actually get a conflict, because user 1 and user 2 both were working on the same line, so Git is not able to understand which data is correct. So then it leaves for the user to decide which data he wants to keep. So I'll go back to my directory of user 2 and I'll open this file. So it actually tells us which file has conflict. So it's telling us the conflict is in the data.txt. So once I open it, you will see that we get these type of angle brackets, and we also get this equal sign. What this means is this middle chunk means anything before it, like this head section, means this is current user's change. So right now we are in the user 2 folders, so head means this is my change, and anything after that up to that commit message means it's the change from the commit, this commit. So this commit is actually telling us we can even go to Git Log and see which user this commit belongs to. So if I look at this one, you will see that this is the same as this one. So user 1 actually made a change, and then now it's up to user 2 to decide which one he wants to keep. One way is he can keep both, or other way is whatever he finds good, he can just keep that one and remove that one. So let's say user 2 says I don't want to keep this line, but I am happy if user 1 uses this file here. So he will paste it here, and he says hello world, this one is better than hello world 2, so he will remove this file. Once all these changes are done, we need to get rid of these things. Once these things are done, now user 2 is happy that his code is all up to date. Now we will save it and then he can push it. So once he has resolved this conflict, he can just again stage and commit and push this change. So he will actually run again git status, and then we have resolved our conflict. We will just run git add data, and then again we will git commit resolved conflict, and then git pull again. Let's see if any other change is made. No. And then git push. Now that this change is pushed, now let's see if I try to pull it from user 1, git pull, and let's see if user 1 actually gets the correct data. Yes, that's correct. So this change is kept the same way, and both users are keeping the same changes. So these are the basics of Git, like how to add, commit, pull, push, and how to view the log, and how to check the status, and how to resolve a conflict. I hope this video clears a few basic concepts. I will try to create more videos with some more information. Thank you for watching. Bye.